Hello and welcome to Petrifying Pumpkins. Hey, did you know that it's 2018? That means it's a new year. A time for new beginnings and a time for new types of videos on this channel, including this top 10 most anticipated PSVR titles of 2018 list that you have just clicked on and are now watching as we speak. I know you're all dying to hear my opinions, so I will not deprive you any longer. Starting off with number 10 is Wipeout Omega Collection. So this one was announced at Sony's recent PSX event in Anaheim, and Wipeout Omega Collection is a game that was actually released last year on PS4, but only in, filthy flat screen version. Not even flat screen, but flat. Those people who are playing flat games out there, not playing VR, they think they're playing 3D. But me and you, we know different. So the VR part of this is actually going to be added in a free patch to those who already own the game. And, if you buy it new, you'll also get it. And that's a great move on Sony's part, I think. I've no doubt that this game will test the stomachs of many people out there. But those people are weak. Their bloodline is weak and their offspring will be weak also. Wipeout is a pretty old Sony franchise. It goes all the way back to the PS1 days. It offers crazy high-speed hovercraft type racing thingies. And they got crazy tracks, with loop-the-loops, and you've got your weapon pickups, so it's slightly like Mario Kart with the weapons. But I absolutely cannot wait to experience that in VR for myself. I haven't actually bought the game, but as soon as that patch comes out, I'm going to buy it. This game includes the remasters of Wipeout HD, HD Fury, and Wipeout 2048. So there's plenty of content there to keep that headset stuck to your face. We got an initial release window of early 2018, so keep them eyes and ears peeled because it could come out any day now. So the ninth game on my list is Bravo Team. Bravo Team is one of the many VR games being made exclusively for PSVR by Supermassive Games. Now, you might remember these guys from the PS4 horror game Until Dawn, which famously starred Hayden Panini and Arsenal footballer Mesut Ozil. They were also behind Until Dawn spin-off Rush of Blood, which was a fun on-rails rollercoaster shooter that was a launch title for PSVR. With Bravo Team, they are sticking to the idea of on-rails, for better or worse, but adding in aim controller support and two-player online co-op that will see you and a pal fighting your way through some Eastern European city, which appears to be war-torn. Teamwork is the focus here, and you'll need to adjust your loadouts and tactics as the situation demands. I'm always going to be interested in a game that is 1. Made by Supermassive Games, and 2. Features aim support, so that was clever of them there. However, in my opinion, potentially immersion-breaking point-to-point traversal system that they got in there, it keeps this one from being a bit higher on my list. But I'm still very excited for it. It's coming 6th of March, so that's not long away at all. Keep an eye out for that. And it's not full price either, so check it out. Number 8 then is The Persistence. Now, I didn't know much about this game until Sony released the second PSVR demo on the PS Store. The Persistence is a roguelike game, so that kind of means that when you die, and you will die, the layout of the map and, item placement, among other things, will change. And that alone adds a ton of replayability. And that's just in the demo alone. Definitely go play that if you haven't already. The Persistence also heavily reminded me of one of my favorite horror games, Dead Space. It takes place in the future on a spaceship where something terrible has gone seriously wrong and it's just you against, a bunch of, I don't want to say zombies, but they're kind of like zombies. It's up to you to get the ship back on track, at least until you die, and some other poor schmuck, who is also you, has to do it. There will also be a mobile device app released that will allow a second player to either help or hinder you. And I don't know about you, but I remember 4 or 5 years ago when those kind of second screen experiences, they were all the rage. So that's some nostalgia right there, you know. Look forward to the Persistence sometime in 2018. I do not believe there is a solid release date for that one yet. So number 7 on my list is Moss. And if you've been watching any of my VR videos, you know, my Skyrim diaries or my Rec Room videos, then you should really know by now that I'm a real man's man. I don't have time for your Disneys or your Japanese animes or your perverted mango comics. I don't. And I'm really confused at how popular, you know, a game like Kingdom Hearts seems to be among grown men. I don't get it. You know, it's goofy. Literally goofy. The character Goofy. What's the appeal? I don't understand. But anyway, when I saw Moss on the second PSVR demo disc, which by the way, definitely download that, I allowed my rock-hard, rugged, and manly exterior to soften just a bit so I could play it. And then I kind of understood, a little bit. In Moss, you're actually controlling 2 entities. You're the cute little mouse, he's got a badass leaf blade that I quite enjoyed using, and you're also some kind of guardian entity that seems to exist solely to aid this mouse in his little adventure. Like, you help him figure out puzzles, and maybe combat. You can like hold enemies in place for him as well sometimes. So this game really surprised me with how well made it was, how well it played, and especially the really great animations that went into the mouse character, whose name is Quill, by the way. This one will be out on the 27th of February, so definitely check that one out, even if you are as unbelievably masculine as I am. So number 6 then is Zone of the Enders Second Runner Remaster. So in my opinion, there are 2 types of people in this world. There are those who love and worship Hideo Kojima, and then there are those who are filthy non-believers. If you're like me and in the correct category, then you'll want to take a look at Zone of the Enders Second Runner's Remaster, which will include viewer support. I'll be honest now, I've never actually played a Zone of the Ender game. I didn't even know they existed until years after they released, and I found the anime style. I know it's anime, I'm just pulling your leg. I found that off-putting. But now, it's 2018, it seems like a great chance to rectify that mistake and hop in the cockpit of something called a Jehuti to blow up some dudes in space with lasers and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Keep in mind though that this game is from the PS2 generation, but early impressions claim that the gameplay holds up well. We'll see for ourselves when this releases sometime in 2018, unless you have it in for Konami and don't want to support them. To be honest, I'm a bit conflicted about that myself. I mean, do we reward Konami for supporting VR, or punish them for what they did to our Lord and Savior Kojima? I don't think there's any right or wrong answers, so do what you feel is best. Okay, we're in the business end of this list now with the top 5. Let's start with Ace Combat 7 at number 5. So speaking of older franchises like Zone of the Enders, I never really played an Ace Combat before, you know. I always wanted to, but for whatever reason I just never could get around to it. But that's probably just as well, because now that I've never played it before, and the first time I'm going to experience it will be in VR, so that will probably make it all the sweeter, maybe. Ace Combat 7 was one of the earlier games announced for PSVR, and we've been waiting quite a while for it now. It was supposed to come out in 2017, but it got pushed to 2018. So hopefully they'll hit that target, because the gameplay they've shown off in VR so far looks absolutely tantalizing, and that's a word I don't use too often. So surely they're not gonna be that many games better suited to the VR experience than a jet fighting game like Ace Combat 7. The pilots in real life, you know, they wear big bulky helmets on their face too, so, you know, the immersion will be absolutely unparalleled, I think. So numero 4, I think. is Dreams. So Dreams is a game from a first-party studio called Media Molecule, and those guys were behind Little Big Planet, which was a pretty well-received game. So Dreams actually kind of seemed to be on the brink of cancellation there for a couple of years. It was first revealed at Sony's PS4 reveal event, and nobody really had a clue what it was about back then, and to be honest, they still didn't really for years afterwards. It wasn't until Dreams' recent kind of revival, in quotation marks, at PSX that we got a clearer image of what this game is kind of all about. Basically, this is a game that gives you some easy-to-use tools to allow you to create your own game. So Little Big Planet kind of toyed with that idea, but Dreams really goes way, way, way into more detail. They even have some kind of music software built into it, and that will allow you to create your own soundtrack if you want, and you could use that game to just make music if you wanted, release albums if you're good enough, So whatever you make can be uploaded and shared with every other Dreams player. So, you don't have to worry if you're not the creative type. You can just play what other people have made. So the potential of this game is quite literally endless. It's limited really only by your imagination and possibly your creative skill. Media Molecule have stated that VR support is coming to Dreams, though it may not be there at launch. So technically VR support might not arrive this year, but I'm pretty hopeful that it will, so I'm putting this in this list anyway. Definitely keep your eyes on this one. I think it's going to come to surprise everyone. It might be a Game of the Year contender. So next up at number 3 is the Inpatient. So remember when I said that Supermassive Games make many PSVR games? Yeah, well, this is another one. The Inpatient is a horror game that is actually yet another addition to the Until Dawn, franchise series. This time it's a prequel that takes place in the mental asylum, which is called Blackwood Pines. And we actually visited that in the original Until Dawn. Only in this game it's going to be 60 years later, so it's not going to be abandoned. This one is heavily story-based, and so follows closer to the original Until Dawn than to Rush of Blood. You play as a character who wakes up in Blackwood with no memories. You'll make decisions that affect the outcome of the story, just like the original Until Dawn, and that'll really add to the replayability, I think. The game also features innovative voice controls, so you'll feel like you're actually talking to the characters in the game for added immersion. It's something I kind of do anyway in Skyrim, but it's nice that it's an official thing that the game will actually recognize. Well, hopefully it'll pick up my accent. There's probably going to be trouble with that. We'll see. The game will even let you choose what gender you want. So if you want to look down and see some boobs, like some kind of pervert, that's up to you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not like that. I'm not like you. Okay? No judgment, but this game is said to clock in on the short side. It may take only 4 hours to complete the story, however, the multiple choices ought to have us replaying again and again to see how the different story outcomes may unfold. And also the asking price is pretty fair to reflect the length, I think. The Inpatient is right around the corner, launching on the 24th of January this month, so get stocking up on them diapers. Number 2, Blood and Truth. If you're anything like me, you probably bought PlayStation VR Worlds when you first got your PSVR. I know I did at launch. You probably played through all 5 of the mini games that were in the game, and then you probably said to yourself, why the hell didn't they just make London Heist a full game? Why the hell were resources taken away from London Heist to make the god-awful VR Rouge game? I don't know. Some questions will never be answered. But the VR gods were listening to our grievances, and they agree. So they put Sony's London studio to work on Blood and Truth. So this is basically the London Heist, but if it was a full game and on steroids. From the gameplay we've seen so far, Blood and Truth looks like a dream VR experience. It mixes James Bond style infiltration with John Wick style gunfights and a polished finish with creative use of both the motion controllers and VR itself. The game uses a node system for traversal, which isn't quite free locomotion, I know, but it's a step up over Bravo Team's system or teleportation, and it allows you to do some cool stuff with your hands without worrying about your legs too. So there's no date yet on this one, just the 2018 release window, but I am definitely hyped for this one. It's gonna be brilliant. So that leaves number 1 with Firewall 0 Hour. So do you guys remember a guy called Adam Orth? For those who may not know, he was the guy who made the hashtag deal with this, a thing, back when current generations of consoles were about to release. Like, I remember laughing at the guy's kind of arrogant kind of tweets at the time, but I didn't think much of it. It turns out that was the best thing he ever did, at least for us, or for me anyway, right? Because that tweet led to him leaving his position at that company and winding up with this new studio called First Contact Entertainment, and thus the creation of Firewall 0 Hour, which is my most anticipated VR title of 2018. Not that I want to give Orth, the sole credit for this game, seeing as he only joined in early 2017, and so maybe it was, in production without him before he came along. But as he is the creative strategist for the game, he played a big part. Thus, I would like to absolve him of his past hashtag sins. Anyway, Firewall 0 Hour looks like a dream game for me. It's 4v4 online multiplayer competitive tactical first-person shooter with aim support. Though you can play with a DualShock 4 too if for some reason you want to deprive yourself of a good time. This game has been called Siege VR, and you can see why by watching the gameplay. The heavy emphasis is on tactics and teamwork, and that makes this more than your typical run and gun. And after playing Farpoint's amazing Versus 1v1 expansion, I am wicked thirsty at the idea of a 4v4 in environments that look this good and with a more grounded and realistic style. No date is given besides a 2018 window, so let's hope there'll be a beta. And Adam, if you're watching this right now, hook your boy up with a beta key, because if I didn't get to play this at the earliest possible moment, I wouldn't be able to hashtag deal with this. And so there you have it. That is my top 10 most anticipated PSVR games of 2018 as of right now. I'm sure there'll be a few announcements throughout the year that could be even better than the games I've listed here, but I can't predict the future. Though I do think that Death Stranding stands a good chance of getting some kind of PSVR support. I don't expect that game to release in 2018. Anywho, thanks for watching, and make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video to Reddit, to 4chan, to your local newspaper, wherever. Just do it. I got a Skyrim VR diary coming up in the next few days, so look forward to that, and until next time, goodbye.